After two important Seljuk victories, the political and military situation of the Ghaznavids in the region was severely shaken. Sultan Mesud, in order to strengthen his shaken position, made an alliance with the Emir of Jan Shah Melik against the Seljuks and the rebellious Khorasan Shah Ismail in exchange for giving up Khorasan. After this political initiative, he prepared and mobilized a large army. The large force marching towards Saras in mid-April consisted of 70,000 cavalry and 30,000 infantry, and was the most powerful and well-equipped army of the period. For this reason, it was believed that it would be impossible to stop this army, even if all of Turkestan mobilized. In response to this situation, Chaghri Bey had arrived in Saras. The Yapku had come from Mert with 20,000 cavalry, and Tughrul Bay from Nishapur. Although the Seljuks were preparing for war, they were worried about this enormous army. For this reason, they were thinking of leaving Khorasan and retreating to Rey and Jibal. However, Chaghri, who was opposed to Tughrul Bay and the Yunals, defended the idea that it was impossible to move and hold on anywhere else. He argued that the Ghaznavid army was heavy and weak in mobility, while they were light and mobile. He stated that they had defeated the armies of Beydoğdu and Subaşı in this way. This idea, which showed his military might and genius, was approved. The two armies started the battle on May the 15th, 1039, with the sound of drums and trumpets. However, until Eid, the war was characterized by light skirmishes. After Eid, when the Ghaznavid army launched a fierce attack, the Seljuks, overwhelmed by superior force, retreated to the desert. The Ghaznavid army, unaccustomed to desert movement, could not pursue, and the Seljuks waited for the great heat in order to beat the enemy. When the heat came, the Seljuks with their mobile forces frequently emerged from the desert, raided the Ghaznavid army, destroyed water wells, and returned to the desert. Having achieved partial success, Sultan Mesud decided to retreat to Herat to beat the heat and force the Seljuks to make peace. According to the recommendations made by the vizier, both sides reached a temporary agreement in order to stall each other, but both sides continued their preparations. The Seljuks had also called upon the large number of Oghuz immigrants coming from Turkestan for help, while growing in number and strength. Therefore, this temporary agreement worked in favor of the Seljuks. Thus, Sultan Mesud returned to Herat with his army in August 1039. However, on the way, he suffered many losses due to the Turkmen's pursuit and attacks. The Ghaznavid army retaliated and inflicted many casualties and captives on the Seljuks. While Mesud was busy with preparations in Herat, Tughril and Chaghri Beys and the Yunals were once again in control of Nishapur, Merv and Nisa. They established relations with Khorasan Shah Ismail and got him to open up the Ceyhun dikes, increasing the flow of Oghuzes into Khorasan. The two victories of the Seljuks had already encouraged Turkmen migration. Thus, a great influx of people began to flow into Khorasan. After Sultan Mesud finished his preparations and prepared his army for desert movements, he moved in 1039 and entered Nishapur with the aim of capturing Tughrul Bay. He settled in Tughrul Bay's old palace in Shadia and spent the winter there. The Seljuks were in great fear. The news that Tughrul Bay had been sleeping without taking off his armor and boots for a long time is a good description of the situation. When the Seljuks inquired about Tughrul Bay's orders and decision, he again said that he had decided to retreat in the direction of Dehistan and Gurgan, Thinking that the Ghaznavid army would not be able to come, he intended to migrate to Ray and Jibal if necessary and unite with the Turkmens there. However, Chaghri Beg, as before, rejected this idea, which was approved by everyone, and emphasized the benefits of meeting the enemy, who would be tired on the way from the desert. Otherwise, he pointed out the dangers of retreating and the difficulties of holding on elsewhere. The Seljuks again accepted Chaghri Beg's idea and set off with their forces in the direction of Mount Balhan. When Chaghri Beg's courage and military vision prevailed, the Seljuks engaged in battle in mid-May 1040 in the first days of Ramadan. Their light cavalry attacked swiftly and made retreats, destroying waterwells, harassing and dehydrating the Ghaznavid army. Sultan Masud wanted to fight his way to the fortress of Dandanakan, located on the edge of the sand desert between Merv and Saras, with its abundant wells, and quench his thirst. But when the Ghaznavid army arrived there, they found that the wells had been destroyed by the Seljuks. The Sultan rejected the attempt to restore the wells, and when he continued to move further on to reach the water, the Seljuk raids intensified, and the discipline of the Ghaznavid army broke down. It was at this point that the end occurred for the Ghaznavids. The Battle of Dandanaqan, one of the turning points of history, continued for 3 days with all its intensity. The Ghaznavids, exhausted by thirst, fatigue, hunger, and finally differences of opinion, were defeated by Chaghri Beg's attacks. With the desertion of the soldiers, especially Beydoğlu, the right and left flanks collapsed. Everyone was fleeing for their lives. By Friday, May 23rd, 1040, the Ghaznavid army was no more. Sultan Masud barely escaped by leaving the battlefield with 100 cavalry. The Seljuks captured all the treasures, goods and weapons of the Ghaznavid army. From then on, there was no serious force left to confront the Seljuks, and the course of history had changed. When the Seljuks won the Dandanakan victory on Friday, May 23rd, 1040, they were sure that they had established a new state, unlike the previous ones. For this reason, Tughrul Bay, Chaghri Beg and Inanç dismounted from their horses at noon, prostrated themselves, and thanked Allah for this great favor. A joint meeting and decision of all Seljuk Beys was held to proclaim Tughrul Bay's Sultanate. They immediately set up tents and a throne on the battlefield, and seated Tughrul Bay on it, and all the Beys hailed him as the ruler of Khorasan. In order to announce this great victory, they sent conquest letters to the Karaghanid rulers, to the sons of Ali Tekin in Bukhara, to all the elders of Turkestan, and to the sons of Kakuya in Persia, announcing their victory. On top of these, in the conquest note they sent to the Abbasid Caliph, they mentioned the oppression of Sultans Mahmud and Masud, the evil they had done to them, the demands of the great people of Khorasan for their protection, and that they had won the victory by fighting in self-defense. They stated that the Ghaznavid rulers were sons of slaves, and that they were sons of rulers, that they had abolished oppression and established justice, that the Seljuks had been loyal to the Caliphate since time immemorial, and that they would continue to wage war for Islam. However, this new state was based on the old Turkish feudal state concept. In fact, in Seljuks, as in the Turks and Karakhanids, the state was legally considered to be the common property of the members of the dynasty. For this reason, after the Sultanate ceremony following the great victory, the Seljuk state was divided according to feudal principles. Tughrul Bay, as Sultan, received Nishapur and the conquered lands in the west. Chaghri Beg, with the title of Melik and as the commander of the army, became the ruler of Merv as the seat of government, and of the countries extending to the Ceyhun, the cities of Saras and Bel and Ghazni. Inanç Bey, retaining his old Turkish title, became the ruler of Herat, and the provinces to be conquered up to Bust, Isfizar and Sistan. Despite his attempts to establish a centralized state, Tughrul Bay was obliged to give his uncle Inanç and Chaghri Bey, who served him in the first rank, the second rank after the Sultan in the establishment of the state, in accordance with the ancient feudal tradition. However, he tried to prevent the fragmentation of the state and to establish a centralized state mechanism by keeping the other great beys with him. For this reason, he didn't allow the great beys to settle in separate regions. According to the decision taken after the Dandanakan victory, Sultan, Melik and Yapgu went to their own countries and started conquests. When Sultan Mesud, a good soldier but a bad politician, returned to Ghazni after the Dandanakan defeat, he blamed all the responsibility on the commanders and executed them. Chaghri Bey besieged Beg with a large army. When Mesud's son Mawdud, who came to the rescue, was defeated, the city's governor Altunta surrendered. Mesud became so frightened of the Seljuks that he couldn't even stay in Ghazni, but went to India under the pretext of gathering troops. He was killed in 1041. The Seljuks, who continued their conquests rapidly, soon became the most influential power in the region.